Well, I was going to answer the first part of the question about PhD. First of all, when you get your PhD, you have 5 years of automatic AQ qualification. So if the PhD is within the last 5 years and they have no publications, they're still AQ. You raised the question of what about somebody with a master's degree that is publishing? And I had said earlier in my presentation, I think a couple of those people are legitimate. I don't think a school can have half of its faculty in that state, but you can certainly have some that would be doing that. Would be if I were on your review team. If you had 100 faculty and you had 5 people in that classification, I would say that's fine. They only have a master's and they're publishing. I would say that's fine, meeting whatever your AQ definition is. So if it's something like James said, 2 and 5, and they have 2 and 5, I would say okay. And I think there was there another aspect of the question between the, AACSB definitely does not have its list of approved journals. There is this big issue within AACSB about research with impact. And people are trying to figure out what that means. And one aspect of impact is where are you publishing? What are the journals? What kind of impact do they have on the discipline or on business practice? But there is no list out there about these are the only journals people should publish in.
In the latest BizEd, there's a good one is matching the intellectual contributions of your faculty to the learning goals to show that there's a consistency and alignment. So, Eileen, you had some comments, please?
Of what an academically qualified faculty member is. So, depending on your mission, you will say, you see, to be AQ, there's 2 portions. One is the actual paper qualifications, the PhD or not PhD or ABD, people in the process. But also this issue of you must show evidence of maintaining that qualification, and AACSB asks you to look over a 5-year window. So you create, the school, you create your own definition of what you mean by academically qualified. Now, James mentioned the classic, which is 2 peer-reviewed journal articles in the last 5 years. That is a common norm these days. However, there's actually quite a lot of variation on that now. Depending if you're an undergraduate school only, and I have to say, although somebody said they were here, but there's very few undergraduate institutions only, usually outside of the US. But you would have possibly a different AQ definition if you are undergraduate only. If you're a PhD granting institution, you would expect a different academically qualified definition. But you must create your own. Okay. Now, there are a lot out there. Google. Just do some Googling and you'll find plenty. But again, you have to have your own definition. And the same as for professionally qualified, and the same for participating, and the same for supporting. You have to have definition. The other thing is although the point was made, there is no prescribed list of journals. You don't even have to have in your own institution a list of journals. I just want to make sure that's clear. You don't have to have a list of journals that you look at. Okay. And then regarding this issue of being AQ without a PhD, I think we have an opinion from a team member. It's hard to know how teams interpret that. Some teams would say, if you're a master's and you want to be AQ, you should have established yourself as you should have documented yourself as an established scholar. In other words, the whole world knows about you. You are a very established scholar. Those are mostly the examples I see. So I think we have some judgment issues there. So I just don't want everybody wanting to classify their master's people as AQ and then getting into trouble.
Right, and it's a matter of degree. I'm talking about if you have a faculty 120 or 30 like that. Yeah. But the other thing I wanted to mention on the definitions when you're putting them together, they do have to be credible in the sense that they have to compare with peer schools. So whether it's one journal article in 5 years or 2 or 3 or whatever else your definition looks like, it's got to have some connection to what your designated peer schools would be doing. Okay.
AQ is two journal papers during the past 5 years, but that's the minimum requirement. Usually, for the faculty members who teach in the PhD program, our norm is 5, minimum 5, during the past 5 years. And our review members, they even ask us to provide the faculty members' resume teaching in the PhD program to see how many papers they have published, because they think the faculty members who teach in the PhD program should have a better standard. Even though we only have one standard, we don't differentiate the people who teach in the undergrad program, the master program, and PhD program. But the PhD program director, he has something in his mind saying that if you want to teach in the PhD program, you had better have more publications. That's our experience over there.